Burgess and Bolton's weekly wrap-up.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Jeremy. Happy nearly Friday.
Nearly Friday, yeah. Pre-record today ahead of the show going out on Friday, 1st of May, of course. And feels like summer is just around the corner. Or
it's nice, but I think it's going to rain at the bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, true to form. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Burgess and Bolton's weekly wrap-up, where we look at everything to do with the London market, technology, change, innovation. This week, we're going to centre a little bit around delegated authority. So last week, we ran the Delegated Authority Strategy Day. So we've got a few insights from that. Ben, you recorded a great interview that we're going to play with Elie Hanna. And we're going to pick up with a bit of news as well, which plays into some of the themes that were covered at the conference. But yeah, should we start with the conference then, Ben?
Yes.
It was busy, wasn't it? And
very.
Yeah. What did you make of it? I know it's not particularly your area, so but it's...
well, we are doing a bit of work in this area actually, but
okay.
but it was a very, very interesting. More in the claims area so far, I have to say. On service and so on, which is causing a few headaches, I think. But no, very interesting. And there were quite a few TPAs there, obviously, featuring. But really buzzy conference, nice new smaller venue, I thought, but I think it was a smaller venue, but it was a good venue actually, I thought. And clearly, I don't know why, it did feel very buzzy. It felt like people had a lot to say and a lot to talk about. I think that's perhaps why. Clearly a lot going on. Good kickoff, and I think I came away as I think you'll see in this little clip of a quick post keynote interview. I was really quite surprised at how much this was becoming seen as the fundamental future structure of the industry. Yeah, not just patchwork quilt of outsourcing.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I felt that buzz as well. There was a lot of people there, obviously, but I thought there was a real community feel rather than. And what I mean by that, people weren't kind of clamping up and saying, "No, I can't really talk about that." They were really opening up around the practical challenges and trying to open conversations to move the whole thing forward. And I think in this clip that we'll play now, I think the tone was set by Elie, as you say, from AXA. So why don't we listen to the clip and then we can come back and just reflect and build on what he says.
Opened up the delegated conference. Yes. I was a little bit blown away because I think you talked about effectively a fundamental shift, really, in delegated, which I've always sort of seen as outsourcing. Yeah. And I think you talked about it having been opportunistic, but now there's a shift. So do you just want to kind of, in a nutshell, describe what you see?
Sure, Brendan. Thank you for the opportunity. But just to start, and this is where I always like to start. I did start the discussion with the clients, right? Yeah. And we all know that our clients' needs are shifting dramatically. This is driven by the continuous change, whether it's in geopolitics, in climate, or new forms of liability. The risk landscape is shifting, and I did say that it's shifting quickly because it is. Yeah. So that changes really what clients really need from us. And in that side, this is where delegated authority becomes very critical, because what the clients really need is actually more insights, and they need more speed. Yeah. And above all, they need to have a good understanding of how the whole value chain, the whole risk is being underwritten. So this is why I think delegated sit at the center of all of that. It's close to the client, it's closer to the risk, and closer to the decision that really matters. So this is how I kind of, so linking it back to clients. But, you know, sorry, go ahead. You want to say
so what I was going to, just to what I take, so obviously people listening to this, it is kind of a summation of what you said, but it felt to me like what you were saying is that this is also the insurance business itself saying, look, how can we better serve customers?
Absolutely.
This is more than just kind of outsourcing opportunistically. This is a strategy, basically. This is our strategy.
100%. So, and also we spoke a lot about value creation that the carriers need to create, but also that the cover holders need to bring to their end customer. But absolutely, as you say, I mean, delegated is no longer just a channel of distribution that sits in your portfolio. It's actually a core part of the strategy, particularly in the London market. And you know the figures that are at Lloyd's. The expectation is by 2030 it will be 46% of the overall portfolio. So there's no way for us to look at delegated as a channel. It's actually a core component of how we approach things. But the key point is, how do you then look at it and how do you grow it, right? You have to be very intentional. You have to be, you have to create that trust. And, this is where we spoke about the ability of AI to help us connect the market and break some of the, break some of the barriers that exist in the market around integration, etc.
I think he makes a really good point around it moving from being just a distribution channel to kind of a central part of organization strategy. And that, I think, signals a real step change in thinking around DA. In the past, it's been this kind of bolt-on, that hasn't been really thought about in that strategic way. And that certainly is changing at AXA.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're one of the biggest players, right? So it's not like you've got a small player saying this. This is a business with a major share in the market and many, many business lines as well. So, yeah, I think there's been a bit of a debate over MGAs coming and going and softening markets impacting that. But that's not at all what Elie's saying. Elie's saying that is no longer the case. This is going to be how the business restructures so that it's core to their offering to the clients. And indeed more, he goes further really, doesn't he? Because he says, actually, we'll be using this to get closer to the clients, to be able to transfer through the value chain, through the delegated. So it's really, yes, very interesting. Yes. And if others are saying the same thing of a similar or even slightly smaller size, then that is pretty much a done deal. Delegated is here to stay.
It is indeed. And it has been growing steadily, and I think it was reflected in the conversations that were had at the event. People were now looking at the operating model and the technology, as Elie was just speaking at the end there, to enable that. Because what they really need to do is decouple kind of the manual processes that go along with a new DA book in order to grow profitably. And at the moment, there's far too many manual processes. There's too much. We're going to come on and talk a bit more about Bordereau in a second, but the data challenge is huge. And if organizations like AXA, and I think you're right, Ben, it isn't just AXA, I think they all are looking to grow and grow profitably, they need to tackle some of these kind of fundamental questions. It felt, just coming full circle back to that kind of buzz, it was an excited buzz, wasn't it? It was, there's an opportunity here. In quite a few of the talks, we're talking about there's an opportunity here, and we mustn't miss it. We need to kind of act now.
Get it right.
Yeah.
And be, as Elie said, be intentional about it and make sure that you do this properly. You don't you don't do it half-heartedly. Now, one thing I suppose that you've got to reflect on is this is additional cost, always. because it is, even though I was saying it's shifted, it still is outsourcing, and you still are using third parties. So the value has to be proven here. And I think Elie went on to talk, as I suspect others did, about the whole the importance of people in this, and relationships and collaboration. And I think he was talking right through the value chain, not just between delegated businesses and the insurers, but the whole, I guess, chain has to be work much better together. And those skills and those capabilities are going to be in high demand going forward. So the drive, I suppose, that we've seen happening and through the industry towards the customer, and Elie starts with the customer, and both his keynote and the chat I had with him, is to meet what is an opportunity and a challenge of these evolving, changing risks. The thinking, I think the strategic thinking, is much less operational. Let's just be an insurance company and watch the business drift in according to the cycle. I think this is more intentional. I think it's more about saying we've got to get to grips with these risks and then deliver, and having a distributed approach to that is pretty now what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So, but there's a cost. So the value, it'd be interesting to see how the value is proven to the customer. It's got to be in service, I suppose, and it's got to be in products that are better suited to these new risks. Yeah,
I think so. So let's kind of develop some of the themes. So we spotted this, I think both of us, today, or this week rather. Insurance data problem comes into focus, at Hormuz. And this article, I forget where it was, Ben. Where was the article? It was
Insurance Journal.
Yeah, Insurance Journal.
Insurance Journal, originally in Insurance Carrier, the sister publication of Insurance Journal.
There we go.
Which I'm sure you know.
Yeah. Oh, I do now.
We all know that.
Yeah. And this is a good article because it kind of just articulates some of the challenges around data and bordereau and getting information into organizations in a timely, consistent and standardized kind of way. And it's an interesting article because it just kind of brings to light some of the madness that happens sometimes in Delegated. I know I chaired a panel just before we get into this where I asked the question, what was the craziest thing that you've seen on a bordereau? And I think we had kind of handwritten ones that had been, scanned in and then emailed over, and different lines in a bordereau from month to month from the same cover holder, no rhyme or reason to it, just decided to do it completely different. So yeah, it's a fascinating world I'm getting insight into, really.
Yes, nobody likes bordereau, do they? That was one of the takeaways from the conference. Everybody wants to get rid of it, not just because it's a French word either, but that's the problem. So this issue here is pretty much a great example, really, of data and through this delegated bordereau route, just how slow it is and how inconsistent it is, and underwriters are relying basically on data for a market that no longer exists because it's moving and changing so quickly. So the question then, when the bordereau comes back, it says in this article, is not whether the terms are okay or the pricing was right, but whether the actual risk is still in place, whether the cover is still in place for those risks. So in other words, it is very slow, and they're still, as it says here, they're relying on PDFs and all sorts of weird and wonderful variations. And the article says really that unless now in these fast-moving environments you get real-time insight, there really isn't think it's really saying there isn't a product really, because the underwriters can't underwrite this stuff by guesswork.
Yeah.
They need to have the submissions that conform to the original binding authority. So the terms that were set for those binders for the cover holders, they can't accept those, you know, something completely different coming back when the things changed. So they talk about ingestion and saying the data has to come in and then be managed real time. So going back to what Elie was saying, I suppose this is a good example of clients will be wanting cover of all sorts of things, but it will be changing day by day, minute by minute, potentially.
Yeah.
And insurance therefore has to be much quicker at responding. I did an interview recently on Insure TV where they asked me about claims and what one thing would be better, should be changed, I thought, and I said speed it up, everything becomes more responsive. And I meant it, and I said in the broadest sense, it isn't, the whole industry is way too slow.
Yeah.
And therefore it doesn't respond and can't respond to faster evolving risk.
Yeah. And once you sort of reduce those that amount of time, then the communication becomes so much better, because you know if you're relying on data or information, whatever it is that's so delayed and out of date, how can you possibly communicate with clients around key questions about am I covered or not? You're going, well, I haven't even got the wardrobe back with the lines of data in.
Well, certainly that's true, and I think Rachel Turk was saying from Lloyd's, head of underwriting at Lloyd's, was saying they maybe 9, 10, maybe even a year ago, she was saying that bordereau was so slow, it was underwriters we're setting pricing for risks without any data for a whole year, essentially.
Right.
Because it was so slow coming in. So they said it's ridiculous. We're just guessing at things, and that's unacceptable. So there is a massive, real kind of urgency to fix this, I think.
Yeah, and also it's not just on the underwriting side; it's on the claims side as well, isn't it? You get these claims bordereaux that come through with the information and the the amounts of money that people are on the hook for. And again, it makes it impossible to make decisions, or even you would have thought, meet the regulatory kind of requirements.
No, I mean it is. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's some of the technology is improving on the claims side, but it's still very difficult and still quite manual in lots of ways, even where there are they need oversight of people looking at things and checking, that even the human judgment has been made correctly, as well as the AI judgment. So the AI is not the savior, basically, as we've heard at several of your conferences and sessions and elsewhere, really, which is that there's no, AI doesn't solve this problem, and if the data's not in the right place at the right time, and it's not right, then that's what the industry is facing, is a lot of opportunity, but hamstrung by poor data.
So we will be keeping a close watch on DA, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who attended, and particularly those that took part in the panel sessions and speaking, gave up their time, insights and expertise to help generate some really lively discussions. So thanks for everyone, and we'll be posting some insights. I think we got the full interview that you did with Elie as well. Ben, we'll put that on LinkedIn, so we'll put a link once that's up in the description
Yes.
below as well.
We will. Yeah, that was good.
Good. Okay. Oh, there it is. I was pressing the button and nothing worked. Right. Short one this week, Ben. So anything? Well, it's bank holiday weekend. So what have you got planned?
I've got some of my family coming down, and that's about it. So not a lot, really. I might. The weather's not going to be great, so but we do need a bit of rain, so I'm not too bothered about that. Yes, I know nothing much, just going out and things. But after, I don't know what sport is on. Last week it was very sporty, wasn't it? I just wanted to shout out for the sub 2-hour marathon, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was fantastic. My wife and daughter went along to London to cheer them on. Had a good day out, and yeah,
did it make you want to run the marathon when you watched it?
It made them want to run the marathon when they got back. Yeah, and I was just going, yeah, that'll last 10 days.
Did they run already?
Not really, no.
No. Well, no. Well, if they got those shoes that he wore, the £450 shoes.
Ooh, I didn't see the shoes. No.
Well, they're saying it's a bit of technology that helps. You know, they've had a bit of a debate over these shoes, but I don't know. What can you do? I mean, technology moves on.
Yeah, exactly.
It seemed to me it was as much about the competition between the three main leaders pushing each other and having something left in the tank at the end.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think at the beginning of the race they were saying that the conditions were pretty much perfect for a good time.
Yeah.
So, all the stars aligned, I suppose, is the.
Well, I think so. Yes, I think a lot of things were, as I said, I think it was the three competitors pushing each other, and that can really make a big difference, I think, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Although I've only run a marathon once. I didn't have anyone running with me. I was in my own desperate dark world of pain on my own. But it, yeah, I mean, I could see that was kind of helping. But yeah, maybe the tech helps a bit and the conditions, but it's not known as a fast course, is it? It's Berlin that's the fastest course. So.
Okay.
They were surprised, and to break it by 30 seconds is huge, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel sorry for the guy who came in second and beat the 2 hour but didn't win.
Yeah. It'll be a footnote in history.
Yeah, he might be, although I was thinking it might actually be if they write it as they should, it would be a tale of how they helped each other, you know, one chap won, and that was that. And then they changed the world. But I really didn't think we'd see a sub 2 hour marathon anytime soon.
So it'll be a good pub quiz question. Who's the second person to run under 2 hours?
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
No,
tall, lanky bloke. Nothing much to him.
Not a lot.
From somewhere.
I mean, it's like listening to Steve Cram. It's amazing. The insight.
Steve Cram was slightly taken by surprise because there was the splits were they thought were wrong when they were looking at the end, because those splits can't be right. They looks like he's surging really fast. Now, they weren't completely right, but what they were worried about was the poles were in the wrong place, because it's a bit tricky with all those crowds and the London streets to get the poles in exactly the right place. Right. So they sort of had a bit of time when they were saying, yeah, maybe they're wrong because of the poles. And then suddenly, I think it dawned on Cram about a minute or 2 minutes out that this guy, or 3 minutes out, this guy was actually going to do it. And he was saying, does anybody realize what's going to happen here? But I think he'd only just realized what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it was a surprise, I think, at the end that it happened. But very good.
Fantastic stuff. Great. Right. Whatever you're doing this weekend, have a great time. We'll be back next week. And yeah, have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye.